Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. We have a great show today. There is a segment of wine that emerged due to the vast number of people who are low carb, low sugar, or keto. And these wines emerged on the scene, I want to say 8 years ago. There's a couple companies that focus on selling these wines. And I'm a wine drinker. You know, I've been drinking wine since I was a kid. When my grandfather would babysit for me, he would give me a little bit of his homemade red wine in a little tiny glass with my pastina. So this is before I was in school, I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And I know what good wine is because I've waited tables at gourmet restaurants when I was coming up as a kid in Las Vegas. And I used to think to myself, these wines, they shouldn't cost $30 a bottle. Something's wrong here. I made friends with a guy whose vineyard Elisa and I love to frequent, Jim Pfieffer, and he not only has had a lot of experience within nutrition, but he's an amazing vintner. And we're going to talk to him about these low sugar wines and are we getting gouged? And how can you tell a low sugar wine on your own? Think about how valuable that would be if instead of buying a $30 bottle of wine, if you could buy an $11 bottle of wine and achieve the same thing. So that's the first part of the show. Second part of the show, we're going to be joined by Debbi Barber and Dr. Suzanne Turner to talk about GHK-cu, which is a peptide that's come on the scene really in a strong way in the past 5-6 years. There was a study out of France that showed that it could regrow hair. If it was injected into the scalp. That made a lot of compounding pharmacies introduce it along with those little microderm wheels that you can kind of puncture your scalp. It's like aerating the lawn and you put it on. Some people claim it changed their hair from gray back to its natural color over time. But the most profound research is its ability to eliminate fine lines, wrinkles, and rejuvenate the skin, which women are willing to pay anything for. We're going to get to the bottom of what it really does and what it cannot do, because there are a lot of people out there making it sound like it's a miracle peptide, and perhaps it is, but maybe it's not. Before we do that, we have to thank our title sponsor, Legendary Foods. Their new cake-style tasty pastries are unbelievable. I was eating 4 a day for a while. I've backed down to just 1 because we're going to run out more than anything else. If you want a sweet snack, but you don't want sugar, and you don't want a lot of heavy carbs, especially high-impact carbs, you want the tasty pastry for you and your family. Legendary Foods has pioneered this replacement for the Pop-Tart, and it is amazing. Everybody who tastes them wants more. If you haven't tried them yet, you really are missing out. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary. Use the code SHR10 to save 10% off. The red velvet cake, cinnamon, and strawberry are my 3 favorites, but they also have cookies and cream. The outside of it is like the cookie part of an Oreo cookie. It's amazing. They have new flavors coming out all the time. Go to shrnetwork.biz/legendary to check out what is new, what is coming out. Now, you can win a box, and your odds are really good because we are giving away multiple boxes on every single show. Thanks to the generosity of Ron Penna, the genius behind the Tasty Pastry. And he and his wife Shannon Penna started Legendary Foods. If you listen during the commercial breaks, I will say a secret word. And you email that secret word along with your mailing address, because if I have to mail you back and say, hey, you won, what's your mailing address? It's going to get lost. It's going to stop. So email on air at superhumanradio.net. Include the secret word that you heard during the commercial break and your mailing address. And I have a good feeling that you're going to win a box of Tasty Pastries because we're giving away a lot of them right now. When Quest first introduced their protein bar, and that was, again, the genius of Shannon Penna. She's the one who invented the Quest protein bar. We gave away 10,000 Quest protein bars in a few short months to this audience. We're going to do the same thing with the Tasty Pastry. So please listen for the secret word, email it to onair at superhumanradio.net and include your mailing address. So you are going to probably win. I'll tell you that pretty honestly. Okay, enough of that. Now my guest, Jim Pfieffer. How you doing, Jim?
Doing great, Carl. How are you, sir?
Good. Welcome back. Welcome back. We always get into some heated discussions at Jim's Vineyard, Turtle Run Winery, because Jim and I, we love nutrition, we love science, and I tend to talk loud, so everybody on the back porch gets a little piece of the action when we're talking. And really, this discussion today evolved from our latest visit to Turtle Run. So, Jim, give a little background. So you have a background in nutrition. You don't have any certification, but you've studied nutrition in depth before becoming a vintner, right?
That is correct. I've been in athletics all my life, and I've had some great opportunities through the years. And when I was originally in athletics, we were supposed to be on remember the carbo loading diet as far as
6 pounds of pasta. Yeah, right.
So I would carbo load in the night before and then find myself famished that morning and not really perform. And so I was introduced to a more balanced diet, 40-30-30, 40% carbs, 30 fat, 30 protein. And I excelled when I reduced the carbs down. And so I became very much cognizant of what goes into my body from that point on. That was in my early 20s. So I've been sticking with this for quite some time, being 54 years old now. So
well, and so the early peek behind the Wizards curtain was that you were being misled about all the need for carbs. You can only store so much glycogen, so all those other carbs just spill over, become fat, and make you insulin resistant.
Correct, absolutely, 100%, yes.
So when do you get into the art of the grape?
Good question. So with that background, I've always been very thoughtful, very mindful of what anything goes into this body. And I think our vineyard and winery is just an extension of that. So when I studied winemaking, there's all kinds of, and it's just amazing if you're on my side, how many catalogs you can get and how many additives you can put into wine. And the amount of people that I've interviewed going to symposiums where they just talk about, you got to have this additive, that additive, just throw it in there. It's always made me question. And luckily at Miami of Ohio, where I studied wine, my professor would go into detail about the differences between, say, European wine and American wine. And we had this breakthrough euphoric one session day where we were able to taste 60 and 100-year-old wine. And I thought it was just absolutely amazing how good that wine was, how great it tasted. And the thought that went through my mind at that point, and I was in athletics back then, the thought that went through my mind at that point was, well, if they weren't using additives back then because they didn't have them, and this wine tastes spectacular, why would you do that today? So I've always been bent on not having additives in our wines. And one of the things that a lot of consumers like, and has to do with their number of taste buds on their tongue, is a lot of people like sweet wines. And so between 2009 and 2012, we did a comprehensive, in-depth study of how yeast ferments sugars. I used an independent lab. I talked to food science universities. No one wanted to take this thing on, but we took it on independently, used an independent lab to do sugar profile work on wine after wine after wine, and we discovered sequential fermentation. Yeast always, when given the opportunity, will ferment glucose before fructose. With fructose being 2.2 times sweeter than glucose, right there you're starting to see, if you're not adding sugar, if you're just doing arrested fermentation, controlling that fermentation, you're providing wines with a lot less calories. And then when you look at the total calories, comparing glucose to fructose, fructose has 3 calories per gram, glucose has 4, so you got a 25% savings there. Traditional American wine is made by taking dry wine, letting wine finish fermentation, going to dryness, and then back adding sugar or juice to that dry wine
to get your taste, to get your flavor. So wait, there's a couple nuances that I want to stick with for a second.
Okay.
So a lot of these additives don't have to be identified on the label because a lot of these additives come from grapes in the first place. Like one that I learned about many years ago is it Super Purple? Is that what it's called?
They're Mega Red. Mega Red's one of them. I think there is something called Super Purple. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So these are made from the skin of red wine grapes that weren't used to make wine or somehow salvaged, and then powderized. And you can add them to wine to improve that beauty. You know, when you pour a good wine, you go, oh man, look at that deep color, how beautiful. It may not even be the real color of that wine because they're adding these colors, but since they come from grapes originally, they don't have to identify them.
They don't. And one of my concerns with those products that you're talking about is that concentration of tannins on the antioxidant spectrum. And my strong hypothesis is that is what causes the red wine headache. It's just the overabundance of tannins, and I think that's where that's coming from.
So a lot of people, as we age, can't drink red wine anymore because of histamine response. Could
Correct.
Those tannins be triggering the histamine response that people are seeing in red wine today?
I definitely believe so. Yes. I've seen countless customers who say they can drink our dry reds and not experience any problems the next day, that day. I know of people that literally, if they try a dry red wine right now, within 5 minutes, they'll have a headache. But yet when they try ours, they don't get a headache. Yet when they go to Europe and drink European reds, they don't get headaches. So it's on the additives. And I've got a catalog this thick of stuff you can put into wines. It's just incredible how much
never have to add it to the label because it's coming from. So what are some of the other additives that wine makers use today to improve either the appearance, the taste, the texture of their wines?
Well, one of them that I really don't like is liquid oak. So you can literally buy oak in a bottle and pour it into your wine. It'll save you money. It'll save you time, and you can get those oak flavors exactly the way you want them.
So let me get this straight. I know it's now becoming more and more popular to make wine in stainless steel. I would imagine that they would add them to those wines to make it taste like it was aged in an oak barrel.
Correct. Absolutely. I think it's deplorable winemaking.
Why aren't the people in Europe complaining about American wine, or do they complain? Do we export a lot of wine from Napa, say, to Europe?
I think we do, but I think it's the high end wine that goes, not the lower end wine. What the problem is when we look at wine, wine contains 1,500 natural.
Jim, you dropped out for a second. Jim, if you can hear me, he may be on a wireless internet connection. Jim, you dropped out because of your internet right at the point when you said wine contains. Can you still hear me, Jim? Okay, we have to give him a second because he's out in the mountains. I know where he's located, and he's probably on wireless internet right now. Jim, can you hear me? No, he can't because he's completely frozen. I hate to take a commercial break this early.
Okay, here we go. Are you
there? Okay. Yeah, so you dropped out right when you said wine contains.
Okay, wine contains over 1,500 natural chemical compounds, and the American palate, regardless of wine, is used to consistency in product. It tastes exactly the same year after year after year, batch after batch after batch. And when we look at the reason why there's vintage dates on bottles, that had to do with expressly different growing conditions from one year to the next. It's a value. To me, it's a value add.
Yeah, seasonality. Yeah.
Yes, and so what our wine industry has kind of jumped on is trying to make that wine taste exactly the same year after year after year. The only way you can do that is use fining agents, remove, and then back add products in to create that exact consistent flavor. I just think that you're messing with what the product is. You're messing with things that are being absorbed into the body.
Now, why is that allowed? The bourbon makers seem to be able to control. You can't add anything to bourbon and call it bourbon. You can't add anything. It's got to be made exactly the same from distillery to distillery, or you can't call it bourbon. Why haven't the winemakers who feel that this is going to be a lost art someday if we could just synthesize wine flavors? Why aren't you guys screaming and going, no fair? You guys aren't playing fair.
I would love to scream that. One reason that in ways that I don't is it gives me a value add as far as our wines are concerned to the consumer. But that whole idea, and you hit it very hard, is we don't have to list the ingredients on the bottles. And I think that that's the core right there. If we had to start listing the ingredients on the back of the label, the wine, I just think your big wine producers are going to say, hey, wait, whoa, we can't do this. We don't want that. And then
too effing bad. You know, like, you know what? I mean, no, I bet the majority of my audience never realized that there are things being added to wines to make them taste a certain way. And if they did that with a food product, everybody would boycott that food. Is it fair for the consumer to start asking? Can we ask, like, one of the wines that we like to drink because it is of organic origins is Bonterra. They make a very inexpensive table wine, cab, and a blend that you can get for well under $15, usually $9 to $10 a bottle. And we drink that because it's organic wine, organic grapes, and the whole process is organic, blah, blah, blah. Isn't it fair for me to contact Bonterra and say, tell me what you add to your wines to make it taste and look the way it does as a consumer?
I think that would be fine. I don't have any issues with that.
Would they be forthcoming? Do you think that they should be forthcoming?
I think so, yes. And I think Bonterra would be. From what I've known about that company, I've actually been out to their vineyards in California before and toured their facility. I think it's awesome. So yeah, I would say that they would be pretty similar to us without, they don't. I doubt they're adding all the junk that's going into wines these days, especially the sugars.
I also have to believe that the junk that they're adding back is going to be hard to source organic in the first place, like the color additives. I mean, it's going to be hard to get organic color additives.
Correct. Yes. And I'll tell you this, as a grape grower, the color component you're talking about is anthocyanin. And from one vintage to the next, the color spectrum changes. Right now, our cab is a little lighter than what it was last year, and our Syrah is a lot darker. So it changes from year to year to year, every year. And I'm fine with that. Super fine.
And isn't that what makes 1 year, bottle of wine worth so much more? Because we've always, when I was a young man and waiting tables in Las Vegas, we had a particular bottle of wine. We had several bottles of the why can't I think of it? It was the Pablo Picasso label. It was the who made that? Was it Rothschild? Yeah. Was it Rothschild? Was it Chateau Rothschild or something like that?
I think they did, yes.
So they use different labels for different vintages, different years. And 2 bottles of wine a year apart. One was $600, the other one was $200. And you would say to yourself, why? And they'd say, well, because this year, this growing season was so much better. The wine is so much better. This one, not so much, so we don't charge as much for it. You don't see that anymore because on the grand scale of sales, when you have a Total Wine and More, they don't want to have to change the price on that bottle versus that bottle. They want uniformity in everything, taste, flavor, and value.
Correct. And that's a disservice to the consumer. I mean, one wine that we're having a lot of fun with this year, there's a grape variety we grow called Catawba. It's one of the oldest grape varieties there is. And the grapes, when they're ripe, have a maroonish color. And sometimes that color sticks in the wine, and sometimes the yeast metabolize all that color out. So most years, our Catawba is brilliantly white. And guess what color our Catawba is this year?
Pink?
Brilliantly red. It's really red. It's really? A red wine. Yeah. And so I've a long time ago, Carl, probably about 2002 or so, I tried to blend to get color correct. And luckily I was doing a bench trial on it. Just blending different wines we have, because I was like, oh, our color's a little different than this from this year to last year. I need to get that color the same. I learned very quickly that you can mess up a great wine by trying to mess with the color. So we don't care about color anymore whatsoever. We just want the flavors to be right, and we want the flavors to be right for that vintage. So we don't do we don't do that stuff. We just no additives. We don't add any powdered tannins. That's a big added. That's something a lot of people are adding to wines. Powdered tannins. We don't do any of that. We just let it go natural all the time.
That's fascinating. So now let's start to talk about sugar. But before we do that, I want to plug your website. So if you're watching the show or listening to the show, and you would like to be able to buy some old world wines made in the new world, the website is Turtle Run Winery, TurtleRunWinery.com, and you can shop. You can ship anywhere in the country, or are you limited to some places?
Most states we can ship to.
Yeah,
some we can't, but most we can.
So let's talk about sugar just for a second.
Okay.
So sugar is an important component of the fermentation process because the yeast has to eat the sugar, so to speak, and then turn it into alcohol. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So sugar is measured in Brix, B-R-I-X. Is that true?
That is correct.
Okay. And you can use is it a hygrometer? And there's a photo there's a photo device you can measure sugar with, or there's a little thing, when we were kids, we had that long beaker in biology class, and it looks like a giant thermometer that just floats in there. You can measure the sugar of wine using one of those visual apparatuses or the little floaty thing, right?
Correct. I use the glass refractometer, and I use that every single time. The hydrometer I do not, because the hydrometer, you're leaning that device against another device, so you're dealing with a coefficient of friction, and so I no.
Okay.
I don't use that. Kind of a funny story, real quick one, was years ago we got audited by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. They asked, Jim, show us how to use a hydrometer. I said, I don't have one. And they were right there ready to close down the winery. I'm like, okay, that piece of equipment costs $10. And then I explained the coefficient of friction. I said, let me pull out $1,000 worth of equipment and show you how to really measure sugar. So we did a diabetes blood sugar test to show them a more accurate way. We used the glass refractometer to show them a more accurate way. We use a bulliometer where we boil wine, test it, get its temperature, and show it that way too. It's hydrometers I never use.
Okay, so with that being the case, if you're making a traditional red wine, a dry red wine, a Chianti, something like that, and isn't the fact that it's dry an indication of either low or no sugar in the wine?
Yes, you're correct. Dry is dry. Dry is absence of residual sugar.
Okay. But you've found a way to make dry wines have a little sweetness by leveraging an amino acid that my audience knows I love called glycine. Talk about how amino acids can influence sweetness without changing sugar content.
Well, the best way to make that happen is go with very slow fermentations, go with long fermentations. The idea is autolysis. Autolysis is the breaking down of yeast cell walls to release manoproteins in the wines. And that also adds a bit of a soft feel, can add that glycerin in ways can come out. Somebody will autocorrect on that one. But anyways, you get that softness there. The other way to do it is use the process we call arrested fermentation, where yeast will ferment glucose before fructose every single chance they get. We did a 4-year study with an independent lab, and so maybe back adding a little bit of that an arrested fermentation wine with that pure fructose. We've done that many times too, but usually on our dry reds. We're not usually blending too much into them. We're going dry to dry. And then sometimes yeast just finish fermentation and leave behind some residual sugar. We don't really try to over think it too much.
Yeah.
We just, so there's a couple wines right now. If you can get a stuck fermentation, sometimes that's one of the best things in the world. And what's funny is when you put those wines in the barrels, and you let them start aging, usually around March, all those barrels will start fermenting. So you have to put fermentation locks on them. It's really neat. So I've got several barrels right now, quite a few barrels going dry that quote unquote finished fermentation back last October, November.
Now I know this next question is hard because whenever you ask somebody to quantify something and give a numerical value, there's a lot of leeway. But if I were to find a good dry red wine, regardless of what type of wine it is, it's dry, it's red, in a regular, what's a regular bottle? 750 milliliters a bottle of wine? How much sugar do you think would be in that entire bottle of wine if it's a good dry wine?
Should be around 0.
Really?
Yes.
So let's be conservative. 4 in the entire bottle. That's considered low, because you'll get 4 glasses of wine, typically a healthy pour of wine out of a bottle. So that's like 1 gram of sugar per glass of wine. If you even go, okay, let's say 4. I know it's 0, but let's say 4. So the reality is that a lot of times those dry red wines find their way into the low cost categories of a lot of liquor stores. So a lot of the times you can get those bottles of wine for $7-10 a bottle, and dry red wine.
You can, yes. So if it's done properly with no added sugar, then you're dealing with just pure fructose. Always, 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 the yeast will ferment glucose before fructose. So if you're down to 2% or 3% or 1% or 0.5%, that should be all fructose at that point. Usually right when you get below 6%, you should be at pure fructose.
I want to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about why fructose matters, because there were studies done on diabetics that fructose was a slower releasing sugar and so could be thought as a low glycemic index sugar of all the sugars. We're going to come back with more of Jim Pfieffer. Again, the website is turtlerunwinery.com. You can go learn more, buy low glycemic index, low sugar wines there. His wines are amazing. They're made right across the bridge in Indiana. We go there all the time. Unfortunately, COVID stopped the concert season, but hopefully that'll start up again pretty soon. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. The power of copper peptides here on the show. Now try it yourself with RestoraCell's amazing new skincare line built on the power of blue copper peptides. All natural, organic, made in the USA, and safe for sensitive skin. Save 30% on their Stem Cell Awakening Serum. Go to shrnetwork.biz/RestoraCell. That's RestoraCell and use code SHR to save 30% off. Remodel your skin today. TaylorMade Health is focused on making sure you're able to perform and look your best. They are a leader in game-changing supplements and cosmetic products. Whether you want to increase strength, expedite recovery, facilitate soft tissue repair, or reduce deep wrinkles, TaylorMade Health has you covered. TaylorMade Health is also the home to Dr. Seed's products such as BPC, BPC Plus, and the Chill Pill. All of my listeners can now get 20% off their first order with code TRY20. That's TRY20. This code can even be used on subscription orders. Visit shrnetwork.biz/TRY20 today and use code TRY20 for 20% off your first order. As a listener of this show, you know how important your gut is to your overall health. Bioptimizers has a potent product to heal and repair your gut unlike anything else. It's called Leaky Gut Guardian. It's powered by patented IGY Max, an egg-based protein that enhances gut health, reverses antibiotic damage, and strengthens your immune system. Available in 2 delicious powders, vegetarian vanilla and chocolate carnivore. Simply mix it with your favorite beverage. Repair your gut and power up your immune system risk-free and save 10% off. Go to shrnetwork.biz/leaky gut. Don't delay. Fix your gut today. Celebrity. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High-quality, pasture-raised, great-tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose-to-tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/whiteoak and use code SHR20 to save 20% off your entire first order. Every day, there's a new wellness trend. Eat that, do this, avoid those. How do you know where to start or who to trust? Inside Tracker helps you cut through the noise by analyzing your blood, your DNA, your lifestyle, and your fitness tracker to provide you with a science-backed, trackable action plan on how to live, age, and perform better. Personalized, one-size-fits-one recommendations to help you optimize you. For a limited time, Inside Tracker is offering Superhuman Radio listeners 25% off the entire store. Go to shrnetwork.biz/inside tracker, INSIDETRACKER, to save 25% off. Change begins on the inside. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
This is the Superhuman Channel. Evolution just got kicked up a notch.
Welcome back. We're talking with Jim Pfieffer. He's the Vintner over at Turtle Run Winery in Indiana. You can shop for wine on his website, turtlerunwinery.com. And the reason I'm doing the show is to give people power, to not be fooled that you have to buy wine from this company or that company to be ensured that it's a low sugar or even no sugar wine. You can make these decisions on your own, and you can find great deals and buy cases of it for a fraction of the cost that you're going to pay some of these other low sugar keto wine companies. I wanted to do this show a long time ago, but the time is really right now. So to summarize what we said before as we move forward with sugar content, if a wine is dry, very dry, then it usually has 0 to very little sugar in it. If it's moderately dry and they've used fructose or there's residual fructose in there, that's what you were referring to about the diabetes trial, right? That when it's fructose in there, it doesn't spike your blood sugar.
Correct. Absolutely.
Okay. So that's red wines. And I'm assuming everybody likes red wines. But in the summertime, I like a good Pinot Grigio. I like Pinot Grigio because it has those citrusy aftertastes.
Sure.
You put ice in it, it goes down way too friggin' fast. You know, if you put ice in it, it's like you're drinking soda, but without the fizz. I have to believe that Pinot Grigio is a low sugar wine.
I would say that most are, but again, in America, now let me explain that as far as the sugar is concerned, how you can figure it out on your own.
Okay.
Each sugar has a different flavor. And before we launched our study back in 2009, one of the things when you try something with just fructose, not to be confused with high fructose corn syrup, but with fructose, the sweetness is very clean, very refreshing. There's no sugary, syrupy, cloying aftertaste. When I teach a wine class on this, I'll literally take 2 little packets of sugar, and I'll put it in a bottle of one of our wines, dissolve that sugar, and when consumers taste that wine, I'll have them try the regular wine first with no added sugar, the clean, refreshing finish. Then they try the wine with a little bit of sugar added, just 2 packets. They can taste that glucose. It gives them that cloying, sticky, all over the mouth taste. And then I have them try the no sugar wine again. And it's clean, it's refreshing, no sugary, syrupy aftertaste. And they immediately know right then and there that flavor is instantly recognized. And so, and we've done that with Moscatos. We'll buy Italian Moscatos for our class and an American Moscato. And I've gotten so brazen that I'll just pick any Italian and any American, open them, and sure enough, you can taste the sugar in the American one, and you can taste the no sugar in the Italian one. Because in Italy, you're not allowed to back add sugar. No sugar, no juice added. Same with Germany, same with France. In America, you can. And so America, they will.
Yeah, in America, they crap on everything. So it's sad to say, anything we consume, they crap on. So what about the legs? So when you spin the wine in the glass, if it's thick and syrupy, it causes these big legs as it runs down. It doesn't run down clean all at once.
Yep.
Is that a result of sugar back added into it?
Not necessarily at all. Normally that's glycerin and alcohol that's creating the legs. So you're not going to know just off of that visual if there's added sugar.
Now, glycerin actually is used by athletes to add muscle fullness. It's not sugar, but it has a semi-sweet taste to it, doesn't it?
Yes, it sure does.
Yeah.
But you're not allowed to add it to wine.
No.
So
it happens on its own naturally, but right? Do the ferment. Okay.
Yes.
So let's talk about white wine just a little bit longer. Are there, aside from the sweet varieties, the German Liebfraumilches and all that sort of stuff, by and large, white wines are not aged very long. So does that enhance or detract its ability to be sugarless?
Ooh, that's a good question. In ways, no. We have an event that we call Blast from the Past, where we bring back older wines. We once lost in our inventory of Blast from the Past Concord that was 10 years old. Apparently Concord doesn't age well, but when you're not having the additives, the fining agents, the added sugars, they age gracefully. So sweet wine, for instance, let's go to Europe. Chateau-Yquem, which makes awesome Sauterne wines, the sweet wines with the botrytis grapes. I've got a bottle in the winery from 1988. I'm still not ready to open it. So they can age forever.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Now let's talk about sparkling wines for a second. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
okay.
I sure can.
So let's talk about sparkling wines for a moment. Champagne versus Prosecco. Does Prosecco tend to have more sugar in it than Champagne?
Ooh. I would assume yes. I've had some dry prosecco though. That's usually a geographical designation. So champagne is from Champagne, France. Prosecco's not. So it's more of a geographical sense of origin aside from. So you won't necessarily know from
Okay, so
that.
it's not a fermentation process or anything like that. Prosecco tends to taste sweeter to me,
Okay.
like a good brut champagne
Mhm.
doesn't taste sweet to me. So I just
Correct.
curious if that was the case. So let's talk a little bit now about pepper. So
Okay.
there's two types of things I like in a red wine. I like a big wine. I like a wine that has a really bold flavor. I like cabs. I like heavy wines that way. I'm sure they have a little bit more sugar in them than, let's say, a dry wine. But with that being said, I like wines that have that pepper. I've been told that that's a result of alcohol. Do we see is pepper an indication of a better fermentation process because it's producing more alcohol and less sugar?
Actually, no. It has to do with the ripeness of the skins. Um, Somebody might correct me if I get the pronunciation wrong, but I think the chemical compound for pepper is pyranozone or purina. I'm getting the pronunciation. But
Piperine,
what happened?
piperine, no piperine, is it? Is
Nope.
it? No, no. Okay.
But anyways, that has to do with the ripeness of the skins. So, for instance, that bell pepper flavor is well known in Cabernet Franc if the Cabernet Franc grapes are a little underripe. So
Mm,
that purazone. I can see the word. Darn it, I just can't pronounce it.
okay. Okay.
But
Okay.
anyways, as the grapes ripen, that chemical compound tends to diminish. So it's kind of funny where I really like that flavor. So Carl, you and I are together on this one completely
Right.
on that flavor. But the typical wine judge is going to say, "Oh, too much of that. Those grapes weren't ripe enough." Well, taste is subjective. I love that flavor.
Yeah, I do too. I also like wines that have a musty, almost earthy, or some people call it moldy. Like
Okay.
Elisa will send back a bottle of wine that has that earthy, moldy kind of scent or taste.
Mhm.
But I actually embrace it. I really like it. Is that just a bad cork job when gone bad, or is that actually a flavor that we find in wines through a process?
Oh, that's funny. You asked me that one. That chemical compound's called Brettanomyces, and it's actually a bacteria that causes that. And a long time ago, when the in Bordeaux, many Bordeaux's had that Brettanomyces or Brett flavor, and that had to do with them using these old barriques year after year after year, and it became embedded in the wood. And so they all thought that was part of terroir, where the grapes were grown. Eventually, a University of California scientist broke it down many years ago and said, "No, no, no, this is a bacteria that's causing this." And
See, and I almost exclusively drank Bordeaux for the
mhm,
first probably 20 years of my life. I loved
okay,
Bordeaux, and they characteristically had that musty flavor.
yep, yep. Here's the funny part. Here's a really good irony of that is that used to be an appreciated flavor, and then once quote unquote they found out it came from a bacteria, then all of a sudden it was poo pooed. We don't like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, right. Yeah, it makes sense. I can understand why they would be like that. Um,
Yeah.
there was Chateau Lafite, the
Mhm.
bottle with the different labels, and we had a bottle that I actually bought from the restaurant owner, the Pablo Picasso label, and
Okay.
I've lost the bottle since. I drank the bottle with some good friends, and I took that bottle with me for probably 25 years, and then somewhere it got lost. But they were limited edition Pablo Picasso prints on the label, and,
Yes.
each one was numbered and signed by Picasso. And I think I paid. So he sold it to me because he said the cork was going bad, and if we didn't drink it that year, it wasn't going to be any good anymore. And it was on our menu at that time for $1,600, and he sold it to me for $300 because I was a waiter at the restaurant, and
Yeah.
it was great. It was an amazing bottle of wine. It really, really was. It lived up to everything I expected of it. But yeah,
Yep. Years ago, a California vintner in Napa Valley, Stag's Leap Wine Cellars.
Oh yeah.
There was a Merlot and a Cab that I had that had the Brettanomyces in there, and I could distinctly pick it up. The funny part is my wife Laura hates Brett, and it was about, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. We had two develop Brett.
We lost him. You know what, Jim? I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take our commercial break now. When we come back. Oh, Jim, you dropped out. Jim, save this story for the other side of the break. Can you hear me, Jim? Jim, save this story for the other side of the break. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. Stay tuned.
GHK-cu just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, GHK-cu now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, GHK-cu delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
The power of light can be truly life-changing and an important element for every superhuman. Because of this, I want you to experience the power of award-winning Celluma light therapy. Celluma utilizes NASA research technology to improve health at the cellular level and is cleared by the FDA to effectively treat a variety of pain, muscle and joint conditions, as well as facial wrinkles and acne. Our entire team here at Superhuman Radio uses it. Its innovative shape-taking design allows for easy placement anywhere on the body. Choose from 13 different models. For an exclusive listener discount, go to shrnetwork.biz/Celluma. That's CELLUMA. And use code SHR10 to save 10% off of one of these award-winning devices. Celebrity. As a listener of this show, you know how important your gut is to your overall health. Bioptimizers has a potent product to heal and repair your gut unlike anything else. It's called Leaky Gut Guardian. It's powered by patented IGY Max, an egg-based protein that enhances gut health, reverses antibiotic damage, and strengthens your immune system. Available in 2 delicious powders, vegetarian vanilla and chocolate carnivore. Simply mix it with your favorite beverage. Repair your gut and power up your immune system risk-free and save 10% off. Go to shrnetwork.biz/leaky gut. Don't delay. Fix your gut today. Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000. Or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON, the number 1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ad today. You've heard us talk about the power of copper peptides here on the show. Now try it yourself with Restoracell's amazing new skincare line built on the power of blue copper peptides. All natural, organic, made in the USA, and safe for sensitive skin. Save 30% on their Stem Cell Awakening Serum. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Restoracell. That's RESTORACELL. And use code SHR to save 30% off. Remodel your skin today. TaylorMade Health is focused on making sure you're able to perform and look your best. They are a leader in game-changing supplements and cosmetic products. Whether you want to increase strength, expedite recovery, facilitate soft tissue repair, or reduce deep wrinkles, TaylorMade Health has you covered. TaylorMade Health is also the home to Dr. Seed's products such as BPC, BPC Plus, and the Chill Pill. All of my listeners can now get 20% off their first order with code TRY20. That's TRY20. This code can even be used on subscription orders. Visit shrnetwork.biz/try20 today and use code TRY20 for 20% off your first order.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where brawn and brains finally meet.
Right before we lost you. that your wife hates. I'm assuming you were going to say hates that moldy smell, that taste,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
And Elisa does.
Tantalizing.
We've gone to fine restaurants and we've ordered what were really good bottles of wine, and I've smelled it. And I thought, a lot of the super Tuscans have that.
Mm-hmm.
They have little earthy, moldy smell. And Elisa sends them back. She says, I don't like that. And I love it. And so, I don't mind being without it if she hates the way it tastes. Maybe it's a female thing. Maybe women, when they smell mold, like the signals go, don't eat that. Don't drink that.
Actually, what it is, it's the number of taste buds in the tongue. The human range is from 500 on the low side to more than 12,000 on the high side. That physiological variant, the more taste buds one has, the more one is disinclined to liking bitters. The less taste buds one has, the more one is inclined to liking bitters. So on the lower spectrum, you have porter stouts, IPAs, dry red wines, bourbon straight up, black coffee. On the opposite end, it's sweet and salt. Sweet and salt suppress bitterness. So they're never drinking porter stouts, IPAs, dry red wine, black coffee. For them, it's not how much cream and sugar goes in their coffee. It's how much coffee goes in their cream and sugar if you're on the high end.
Right. All right. So let's summarize what we've learned today for those who are tuning in late. You don't have to pay stupidly ridiculous prices for low sugar wines or keto wines. You can determine if a wine is low sugar or low carb keto acceptable by buying a bottle. Usually they're very inexpensive bottles, or buying bottles of wine that are known to be dry. Chiantis are known to be dry. Mm-hmm. A lot of the Italian wines, quite frankly, are known to be dry. The Super Tuscans tend to be a little dry, not as much. Super Tuscans more so like a cab almost of Italy. But if you're buying a dry wine, then chances are there's probably 4 grams or less of sugar in that entire bottle of wine.
Correct. Absolutely.
And because of the way the fermentation process goes after glucose first before fructose, that 4 grams could be exclusively fructose, not high fructose corn syrup, real fructose, which means that it's a low impact carbohydrate to begin with. It's not going to spike blood sugar.
Correct. You're heading right on. Absolutely.
So save your money. And if you really want to buy an amazing, what is the word that they like to call, artesian wines. If you want to buy artesian wines that are made the way the wine makers hundreds of years ago made their wine, then all you need to do is go to turtlerunwinery.com. And Jim's prices are in line with what you would expect to pay for a really good bottle of wine. And most of his wines have no sugar in them. I mean, you've got some sweet wines. What are the sweet? Now, I'm sure we have people out there that go, but my wife only drinks sweet wines, or my husband only drinks sweet wines. You have sweet wines too, right?
Yeah, I do. But again, no sugar added. We control our fermentations, and yeast will always ferment glucose before fructose. When you do it that way, when you control it, if you think of this, some numbers I threw out earlier, fructose is 2.2 times as sweet as sugar, or 2.2 times as sweet as glucose, 1.72 times as sweet as sugar. Glucose has 3 calories per gram, or fructose has 3 calories per gram. Glucose has 4. So you start doing the math. Arrested fermentation wines, you can easily get down to less than half the sugar calories than sugar sweetened wines. It's very easy to get there.
Fascinating. So what kind of sweet wines do you offer at the Turtle Run Winery?
Our wine list has around 30 wines, so we can cover all palates. Our sweet wines, we have a whole series we call the My Mind series. So there's Red My Mind, which is made of Concord, Blue My Mind, which is made of Steuben.
That's good.
Yeah, Lost My Mind, which is a Concord Catawba blend. So we've got Cross My Mind, Slip My Mind, you name it, we've got them on the sweet side. Plus we have some semi-sweets. The best 2, I would have to say, they're named after my children, Catherine's Blend and Joe's Jam and Red. And if you think I can slip up on those 2 wines and be a little off on my complex flavors, no way. Because especially with Catherine, she'll bust me big time. She knows her wines.
Anything special going on? We have Derby weekend this year, but just like arrested fermentation, we have arrested Derby because of COVID is still lingering here in our Fair City. Thank you, Mayor Fisher. Are you doing anything special at the winery for Derby?
We are. We're in what we call the free state of Indiana, and so our restrictions are very much lifted, and so we've already started our Sunday concert series. So we have people coming out enjoying live music on Sundays already. So it's great. So we just started last weekend.
I hope Elisa's watching, because I think that's where we'll be this Sunday, Jim. We'll be there.
Sounds awesome, Carl. Hope you are.
Well, I think that we did the audience a great service today. We will save people tens of thousands of dollars over the years from not having to buy keto wines at $25 and $30 a bottle.
Correct.
Because you can buy low sugar wines on your own. You're intelligent enough and can be educated easily enough to choose your own low sugar wine. Just listen to the show again if you're just tuning in late right now. Jim, thanks for being here, brother.
Oh, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on. It was great.
We'll see you Sunday. Okay.
All right. Sounds good, Carl. I'll be waiting.
Thank you. All right. So stay tuned. We're going to take one quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the copper peptide, GHK-cu, that is really become the forefront of copper peptides and cosmetic peptides today. And we're going to examine what are the real expectations of what it can do and what are not. Because quite often when we talk about peptides, people think they can do all sorts of magical things like paint your house, and they can't. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio. And let me get I'm producing my show at the same time. We'll be right back. Here we go. The power of light can be truly life-changing and an important element for every superhuman. Because of this, I want you to experience the power of award-winning Celluma light therapy. Celluma utilizes NASA research technology to improve health at the cellular level and is cleared by the FDA to effectively treat a variety of pain, muscle and joint conditions, as well as facial wrinkles and acne. Our entire team here at Superhuman Radio uses it. Its innovative shape-taking design allows for easy placement anywhere on the body. Choose from 13 different models. For an exclusive listener discount, go to shrnetwork.biz/Celluma. That's CELLUMA, and use code SHR10 to save 10% off of one of these award-winning devices. As a listener of this show, you know how important your gut is to your overall health. Bioptimizers has a potent product to heal and repair your gut unlike anything else. It's called Leaky Gut Guardian. It's powered by patented IGY Max, an egg-based protein that enhances gut health, reverses antibiotic damage, and strengthens your immune system. Available in 2 delicious powders, vegetarian vanilla and chocolate carnivore. Simply mix it with your favorite beverage. Repair your gut and power up your immune system risk-free and save 10% off. Go to shrnetwork.biz/leaky gut. Don't delay. Fix your gut today. Being superhuman means being conscientious about the choices we make. White Oak Pastures is superhuman when it comes to raising livestock. They're committed to animal welfare, land regeneration, and rural revival. They responsibly manage the entire process from the pasture to your doorstep. High quality, pasture raised, great tasting meat from a farm you can trust. Full nose to tail selections. They even have options for your pet. Go to shrnetwork.biz/white oak and use code SHR20 to save 20% off your entire first order. Celebrity. You've heard us talk about the power of copper peptides here on the show. Now try it yourself with Restoracell's amazing new skincare line built on the power of blue copper peptides. All natural, organic, made in the USA, and safe for sensitive skin. Save 30% on their Stem Cell Awakening Serum. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Restoracell. That's RESTORACELL. And use code SHR to save 30% off. Remodel your skin today. Every day, there's a new wellness trend. Eat that, do this, avoid those. How do you know where to start or who to trust? Inside Tracker helps you cut through the noise by analyzing your blood, your DNA, your lifestyle, and your fitness tracker to provide you with a science-backed trackable action plan on how to live, age, and perform better. Personalized one-size-fits-one recommendations to help you optimize you. For a limited time, Inside Tracker is offering Superhuman Radio listeners 25% off the entire store. Go to shrnetwork.biz/Inside Tracker, INSIDE Vintner, to save 25% off. Change begins on the inside. Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
Move over, superheroes. This is the Superhuman Channel.
Hey, welcome back. A thorn between two roses. I have a face for radio. I know it. I knew it a long time ago. Welcome to the show. So we have Debbi Barber up in the top, and of course a fan favorite, Dr. Suzanne Turner, at the bottom there. And we're going to talk about peptides, and which is a favorite topic today everywhere. I jokingly posted on Facebook the other day, is there a peptide that will help me with discipline? And of course, Dr. Turner got it. One of the few people who actually got it. And no, peptides don't do everything. I'm sorry. There's so many people out there asking stupid questions about, will peptides do this? But there are things that peptides do. And there are some things that they do better than anything else. And GHK-cu moved from being an anti-aging peptide, which with lots of valid research, when injecting it for long periods of time at fairly moderate doses, to being the biggest boom or boon, I forget which way it's in cosmetic peptides today. So, Debbi, I'm going to go to you in a second. I want to start out with Dr. Turner because she's been on my show more than probably any other physician talking about peptides. And she is the one of a handful, let's say one of 2 of the most sane physicians I know. She's forward-leaning, but she's not going to BS you, you know. What do you think, Dr. Turner? GHK-cu as a cosmetic peptide, is that the best thing about it, or is it just as good for hair regrowth and all the other stuff?
I think it's one of the better things about it. I think this is one of the unsung heroes of the peptide whole genre. I really think it really is one of the lesser known and lesser looked at. Every time I go back and look at this peptide, I go, why am I not taking this all the time? Either sub-Q or topical. And I do now take it topical on a regular basis, but it's got so many benefits. There's so many reasons to use it. And the research, particularly in the, heart disease and neurodegeneration, because of how it works, up and down regulating genes. And this is what we know that GHK-cu does. This is one of the reasons why it works specifically for skin, but also for all these other disease states, is because it works by up and down regulating genes. There was a big study done in 2010 where they actually discovered all these different genes that were involved. And there are something like 30% of our genes are affected by more than 50% when GHK-cu is applied. It was originally discovered in the 70s, where Dr. Picard was the one who applied it to a liver cell tissue sample and discovered that it was producing hormones and proteins and peptides as though it was a young liver cell, as opposed to its actual age, which was much older. So it's very exciting in how it retrains cells to be younger than they actually are. As far as skin goes, it takes your skin fibroblasts, which are the stem cells of the skin, and encourages them to produce things as though they were younger cells. As we age, we lose those cells in our skin and our ability to produce collagen well. And so as we go, if we add the collagen or the GHK-cu to the damaged skin, or to already, and all of us have seen this sun damaged skin that we can get. I certainly have it. I've got, brown spots and that sort of thing. all of those can be affected by applying GHK-cu to them. So I also know that there is some benefit in the hair growth benefits, thickening of the actual hair follicle. So we're talking about at every single tissue level where this molecule is used, it is able to repair and to regenerate a more youthful expression of the cell.
I'm one big brown spot, by the way. But I'm always I'm on my motorcycle with a t-shirt on, and I love the sun, and I will never apologize for loving the sun. So, Debbi, it's not enough to just take GHK-cu and put it on your skin, right? There has to be a specific vehicle. There has to be other things that kind of augment it and help it do its job, right?
Well, we developed we actually researched to determine which products could be combined with it. You can, and Dr. Turner, you probably can answer this better, apply it. But we actually developed a serum which has the strongest amount of GHK-cu, and we mixed it with hyaluronic acid and other different products that would make it, work better. Products that also aid the skin and provide moisture. And then the moisturizer, it has shea butter and natural oils, everything. Again, we're so proud of this because everything is natural. And I think that's what, again, helps make the skin healthier, which is really the original purpose, is healthier skin.
So just so everybody knows, Restoracell is a new sponsor, and they make this amazing product, and they have put real skin in the game because they have agreed to give our audience the deepest discount you're going to find anywhere. Mm-hmm. Everybody comes to this show and they give a 10% discount. I say, look, you're not going to move the needle. You got to give people something where they feel like, oh, this is such a good deal, I got to give it a try. So it's 30% off. If you go to shrnetwork.biz/Restoracell, RESTORADELL, and give this copper peptide a try yourself, and don't break the bank at the same time. And we'll give this information again here in just a second. So, Dr. Turner, one of my frustrations, and I like to blame the pharmaceutical industry for this, quite frankly, because people take decades to break themselves, and then a physician gives them a pill that makes the symptoms go away in a week or two. And so they've come to expect that resolving symptoms versus repairing the body should happen quickly. Isn't part of the problem with peptides today that people don't give them enough time to do their job?
I agree with you. And I think it depends on how long you've had whatever the problem is you're trying to treat. And keeping in mind that you're probably going to look at a similar length of time, maybe not that full length of time, but it's going to take a while. The research around this, around the copper peptides using for skin improvement, for elasticity and wrinkle reduction, show that its benefits take around 12 weeks. So these are the human studies that were done in the 2003-2005 time frame. And it was people looking at how much collagen production, the stem cells in skin being made more stem-like, they were more effective. And then the elasticity and actual reduction of wrinkle depth, all of that occurred in that same time period. And all of these treatment phases took 12 weeks to see a difference. So this is a daily or twice daily application of a therapy. That would, again, have to be, anytime I'm telling patients how to put on topical things, I'm saying you have to put it on a clean, dry skin. So you can't just like throw it on your face and go to bed. You have to wash your face, put it on. And anything like this, if you're using a copper peptide, topical copper peptide, you can use this, of course, face, décolletage and neck, backs of the hands and forearms where you've had that sun damage occur. And so, yeah, the research is in that. The other interesting thing about copper peptides is the fact that they do have some anxiolytic properties. So counter to what you're suggesting, Carl, there was one mouse study, and I forget, I think it was 2013, maybe 2014, mouse study where they showed that given systemically, so either sub-Q injection, I believe the mouse study was done intraperitoneally, which we equate to sub-Q in humans, in 12 minutes, mice began to explore their environment more significantly and decrease their freeze time. So it has some anxiolytic, those are signs of anxiety in mice.
Wow.
And so in 12 minutes, which is probably the equivalent of Xanax in a human,
Right.
for timing of onset, somewhere between that 10 to 20 minutes for an oral dose. And so, yes, some things in humans work really fast. And, especially with some of the recent viral illnesses that are going around, I think there's some really interesting research around some other peptides that do work fairly quickly. But in this particular one, talking about GHK-cu, we also know that anxiety is one of the biggest contributors to skin problems. And so, so the exposure of skin to cortisone or natural cortisone can be really detrimental to thinning and aging of the skin, can impair wound healing and just general healing from sun damage, for example. And so it's great if we can get that GHK-cu on board anyway to see if we can get rid of some of that anxiety.
Debbi, is that parallel some of the results you saw when developing the Restore Cell product, the 12-week point? People were going, wow, my skin looks so different.
Well, I started using it thanks to Dr. Turner, March 2020. And interestingly, she has helped me with so many aging issues as things start working not as well and you have decreases in so many things. So I'm such a big fan of the peptide. And one day I was in her office and we were finishing up and I said, Dr. Turner, please tell me what you would recommend for crepey skin. Because I'd been on the elliptical and when I would look down, I would see this crepiness on my thighs that it was really not good. Right. And it was bothering me. And I had, for the last 3 years, tried so many products, some of the top, very high-end brands. And I had given them all at least 3 to 4 months and not any results. And so she said, well, I can tell you what I do. And I thought, oh, I'm going to find out what she does. That was like a great, secret. And she said, GHK-cu, I will get it for the compounding pharmacy. So I started using it twice a day. And after about 6 weeks, I started feeling my skin was softer. And while, it wasn't like this big miracle, I could see a change. Right. And then after 2 months, and I had my next appointment with her, I said, okay, this stuff is amazing. I need more. And so I have continued to use it, and it has totally, it has taken, and I'm not trying to exaggerate, 10 years off my face. Right. My skin is smoother. Some of the hyperpigmentation has diminished. And I can look at when I'm on the elliptical, I can smile again. It really made a difference. I even use it under my arms. I play tennis. And that's another area. If you've been around older ladies, play tennis. It's this crepey place. It's really sad. And so I took the serum and every day, twice a day, and just rubbed it into the underarms. And now I am out buying tennis dresses like crazy. And I'm very proud of it.
That is amazing. That's amazing. So Dr. Turner, is it the copper that's the magic? Because there's another GHK that's bound to another mineral, isn't there? There's GHK something and then there's GHK-cu. Is the copper the magic here?
I don't think it's the only magic. I do think it's I think it's part of it because it's involved in collagen production, because it's involved in changing those genes. I think that's where the money is, though, is in the gene modification, the up and down regulation of genes involved in both improving DNA damage and oxidative stress of the cells and improving the ability of the skin to repair itself better.
So how long? So what does a bottle typically cost? First of all, you have 3 different products, don't you have, or 2 different products?
3 products.
3 products. Tell the audience what your 3 products are.
Okay, we have Stem Cell Awakening Serum, which has the strongest concentration of GHK. In fact, one of the strongest in the industry, because we really wanted something that would work. And this goes on first, and it has, and I'm going to look down because I will not cover this totally like I should. It has allantoin, which helps promote your skin's exfoliation, silk amino acids, another wonderful product, hyaluronic acid I mentioned before. So we combined it, and it just goes on, and it just sinks into your skin. It is not a product that will lay on top of your skin. And that's one of the things I love. And what people have commented, and, as soon as they start using it, they love the way that it just goes in, and, goes into your skin.
Disappears,
Yeah. And then we have a moisturizer, which has a little bit less GHK, but it really is to help. It's an emollient, and it helps hold the moisture into the skin. So it's still working, but keeping that moisture, which again is a cause of aging when you start losing moisture in your skin. And then finally, we have an eye cream, and show you here. I just love the color of this. If you can see, it's such a
it's like a French blue.
It's blue, and it's beautiful, and it has some other ingredients that help with puffy eyes, and of course the fine wrinkles, and it really does work on fine wrinkles. I'm not going to say it takes the heavy burrows out of your forehead. I'm not looking at you. Yes, I am. Overnight.
No, I want to show you. I want to show you something. If you look closely, you'll see Jimmy Hoffa. Hold on, I'll show you. That's where he's buried, in my forehead.
But these fine lines, if you are careful and you apply it twice a day, it really works.
Mm-hmm.
So
is there so each of these does something different. Is it recommended that people use all three, or could they just start out with the stem cell awakening?
They could start out with the stem cell awakening. It's good to start somewhere and actually use the product. We developed all three because I was using a foam from the compounding pharmacy, which was effective. Mm-hmm. But I thought, I want to also have something that focuses on my eyes under my eyelids and eyebrows. And so that's why we thought, if we're dreaming, what products would we have? And we thought, well, we need something that will work specifically for problems around the eyes. Then we need a moisturizer, because, you don't want to go buy a moisturizer that perhaps doesn't have clean, good ingredients.
Yeah, and then you put it on top of this. Yeah,
absolutely. Exactly. And so that's why we selected those three.
So, Dr. Turner, are there any things that women and men, men can use this too. We always assume women, but there's a lot of guys who are very conscious about their skin. I'm not one of them, but there are a lot of guys younger than me who don't want to look like me when they get 63. So is there any expectations when you start using this? Like, should you notice anything? Can you tell if you're putting on too much or not enough, or anything that you should notice?
I think you would have a really hard time overdosing. We always worry about the copper overdose. I think you'd have a really hard time overdosing with topical copper, GHK copper. I think what you just notice immediately is just that your skin feels softer. It takes a long time though for you to notice the difference in the crepiness, but it does eventually go away.
So the crepiness is actually going away because there's an increase in collagen production. The kind of like the wires on a bridge that hold it steady. That's what collagen is. Forms under the skin like a matrix. Is it good to use this along with like maybe a collagen supplement, a collagen hydrolysate, or any other supplements to help give the workers the building blocks they need to rebuild the stuff you want them to rebuild?
Yes, I do recommend twice a day hydrolyzed collagen supplement and little teeny vitamin C, like a 50 milligrams.
Right, right. Yeah, that's excellent. So how long has the products been available now, Debbi?
December of last year.
It's going to be 6 months in June. And what are are you getting any feedback from some of the early adopters?
Absolutely. We've really started slowly because we want to have that feedback. And we have had such positive response immediately, because we do not want to set expectations that, oh, you're going to, in 2 weeks, your crepiness is gone. You know, we just say start. And the questions, you know, that we ask, how does it feel on your skin? And everyone, I mean, almost unanimously just says they love the way it feels on their skin. And we have so many, in fact, our reviews, I'd love for you to go read the reviews and also look at the before and after pictures on the website, because that's really telling. And some of those are like 10 weeks, 12 weeks, some under eyes where you can really see the fine lines smooth out. So people have actually, and I'm surprised because I do not like posting my photos, but people are so excited they send us photos of their necks.
And women don't like to post photos where they don't photograph well. And so if they're posting their photographs where they don't look well, it's because there's a photograph going, this is what I look like now. Otherwise, women don't do that. Don't do that.
Absolutely.
Women always want, anytime I take photos and Elisa's in them, no, I have to approve that before you put it up anywhere. I'm like, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let me put the placard up again here. So it's called Stem Cell Awakening. And it's from Restoracell. It has copper peptides. If you go to shrnetwork.biz/Restoracell, RESTORACELL, use SHR as the code, save 30% off. But more importantly, go look at the before and after pictures. Check it out. Check out what we're talking about here, and make the decision yourself. The other thing I want to say is there's a problem today, and it's in a lot of different areas of health, not medicine and not healthcare, but health. People who are sincerely after health, they tend to do things for a short period of time, because if they don't see any initial verifiable changes, they jump ship and go do something else. And this is common with training styles. This is common with diet. People get on a diet 2 weeks in, they haven't lost 6 pounds. They're like, this isn't working, I'm going to do something else. When if they just stuck with it a little bit longer, they'd see the results. It takes time. It took you decades for your body to get where it is. You can't expect something to completely reverse structural changes in your body. And quite frankly, it's good that we're built this way. But you can't expect things to change, structural changes in your body in a couple, 3 weeks. That's ridiculous. But here's the thing that should make you relax. It's working for other people. It's worked for Debbi. Dr. Turner doesn't promote anything at all when you think about it. And for her to be talking about this right now, she's confident that it works. So buy it and use it and use it and use it and use it until you see the changes in yourself. Don't go four weeks in and go, I don't notice anything. That's it. I'm done. Because the changes may have been right around the corner and you just walked away from them. That happens so often in life.
And don't forget, this is also preventing future damage. So the research around the radiation damage and the using copper peptides in conjunction with radiation damage. So for example, using your copper peptides and then going either under chemotherapy type, cancer type radiation, but also sun damage radiation. If you are exposed to the GHK at the same time you're exposed to the radiation, your cells have a way better chance of surviving, of preventing apoptosis or cellular death, and of improving the DNA damage that can occur from the radiation itself. So we're getting a better outcome even going forward. So I know that I'm going to continue to be, I'm going to prevent continued damage in addition to reversing some existing damage.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very, very good. So,
Carl, excuse me, I just wanted to say, because you mentioned, is this a good product for men? And I just wanted to say, absolutely. My husband has been using it now for almost 5 months. And one of the things that we were really excited about, he had this keratosis, I think I'm saying that right, Dr. Turner, on his head, totally gone. I mean, it was like that was something that, had really been a problem for him. And he took the serum and he was really good twice a day, rubbed it into his head, and it's gone. And the tone of his skin also. He can't have me looking, 10 years younger and he's going the other direction. So he has been using it, and he's getting a lot of the guys like in the neighborhood, what are you doing? And so it is absolutely a good product for men, the same as it is for women.
I'm going to have to start stealing some of Elisa's. That's all.
Let me say in reference to what you were saying earlier, Carl, about not depending on a thing. This couple does everything. They exercise. They eat right. They got rid of all the trash in their house, all the products, the unclean products in their house. They are taking such good care of themselves. And so probably the only thing they have going on is the stress of promoting this new product.
Absolutely.
And I want to help them, and I want to say something to the audience. I'm in my 16th year of doing this podcast, and I've always said to this audience that we give the depth and breadth of the information that we talk about on this show is beyond compare of any other podcast in the world today. And if you appreciate even 1 or 2 shows a month, then I've always said patronize our sponsors, because they make the engine turn. They make the show possible. And here is a fantastic product. It's a groundbreaking product, and it has advanced technology in it. shrnetwork.biz/restore-a-cell. Give it a try. Show them some love, and we'll keep developing and bringing you groundbreaking information to keep you healthy, keep your family safe, show you how to navigate the health problems in the world today. Show the sponsors love. Get 30% off using the code SHR. shrnetwork.biz. Restore it/restore-a-cell. RESTORACEL. Thank you for being a sponsor, Debbie.
Absolutely.
And thanks for always being here for us, Dr. Turner.
My pleasure, Carl. Great to see you always.
See you later. We'll take care. All right. So we have a show tomorrow. I don't know what it's about. If I worked harder, I'd probably know what it was about, but I'm sure it's going to be a good show, and I hope all of you can make it tomorrow. Thank you for being here today. Share the show. Help somebody out. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.